All right, welcome back, everybody, to Sports Chat episode 5, where today we've got big news since it's been 2 weeks since we've last been on the air. A lot of stuff going on over spring break, a lot of stuff going on this week, particularly in the NFL. Let's start with the biggest news from yesterday, guys. Tyreek Hill going to the Dolphins. Yeah, highest paid wide receiver. What do you guys think about that?
I think he deserves it. Also, the Dolphins are looking really good next year. If he plays good, they got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Like, that duo is going to be crazy. Raheem Mostert, who's been really good in the 49ers system, so let's see how he transfers over to the Dolphins. They also have Mike Gesicki, who's a good tight end who can be a good red zone target if they need him. And I feel like their offense is good. To see about their defense, and I'm happy for Tyreek Hill.
True. I feel like last year, offense and defense were okay. They were pretty solid all around the board. But that defense, I think, should be better. I don't know about this next year, but I feel like overall they have some great weapons. Like Xavier Howard is amazing. He's still with them. Is he not? He's still with them.
Cornerback, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's still with them. They got a great defense. They also got Chase Edmonds from the Cardinals. And like Jordan said, they re-signed Mike Gesicki, who's a big red zone target. Big target overall for Tua. But I feel like Tua still has to prove himself. I feel like he's kind of not an NFL quarterback. He is good enough to be like a good backup, but we'll see what happens. They also have Teddy Bridgewater as a backup right now. They signed him this offseason too. So, yes, I love Tyreek Hill so much. He was on my fantasy team many years, and he really produces, especially with Patrick Mahomes he did. We're going to have to see if he's going to be able to produce the same amount of numbers with Jalen Waddle as well as Devontae Parker on that Dolphins team. I think that the Dolphins will have an amazing offense next year, but it really comes down to Tua.
Yeah, no, I think that's the biggest thing. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are now the fastest wide receiver duo in the NFL. So if Tua can't get the ball downfield, I mean, how are they going to do well? Also, I think it's huge for Kansas City, though. Like, a lot of people are saying, Kansas City is kind of going under when their division's getting better. Kansas City's not. I think, though, the picks are really good for them. Tyreek Hill, it would have had to be a huge deal. They would have had to make him the highest paid receiver in the NFL if he stayed with Kansas City. You already have Mahomes under contract, and he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks. So you look at Kansas City, and I think they'll be fine without Tyreek. Like, yeah, it's a big weapon. They still got Travis Kelce, still got picks. They got McCole Hardman. I really do think they'll be okay, but it's tough. I think the AFC West is just absolutely stacked because, as we said, like, we go to the Broncos now. Russell Wilson, their new quarterback, and a lot of people are saying that's what Denver needed, guys, was a big quarterback to finally make a push. Like, they've got young talent with Jerry Jeudy, a solid defense. So I think the Broncos, really that division's up for grabs, but I like the move the Broncos made. They couldn't get Aaron Rodgers, but they did get Russell Wilson.
I'd say the division is definitely the hardest one in the NFL with the Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, and Raiders. But the Broncos made a great move in picking up Russell Wilson. They needed a star quarterback, and they got one. Their defense is really good. So if Russell Wilson just continues to produce at the level that he's been producing with the Seahawks, hopefully the Broncos can make a deep push in the playoffs.
I'm loving the Broncos this year with Russell Wilson. But he's got to prove himself with the Broncos because he proved himself with Seattle. Although last year, yes, he still had a great season, but there was like a big couple weeks span that he just did not perform that well. And he still had DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Too, like a couple of weeks.
He was hurt, yes. So if he can stay healthy, I'm loving the Broncos this year. I would put him top 5 if they live up to the expectations that they have right now. But going back to the Chiefs real quick, they also have Juju Smith-Schuster. They signed him to I forget what the contract was, but they did sign him. So they have him in replace of Tyreek Hill. Now, obviously, Tyreek Hill is a better wide receiver than Juju Smith-Schuster, but it is still a target for Patrick Mahomes. And now they have an additional first rounder, second rounder, and then 2 fourths and a 6th round pick for Tyreek Hill. So it was a big move for the Chiefs as well.
I would say the Chiefs are going downhill, no pun intended, but they gave too much money to Patrick Mahomes, and I feel like they don't have enough money to spend on other high-end players that they have. So let's see how they do and what kind of moves they make in the future. But they're decent right now, but they're not going to be where they were last season.
And I think we're seeing a theme here with the higher paid quarterbacks are losing some weapons. So like Patrick Mahomes had a massive contract. He's lost Tyreek Hill. They didn't have enough money for him. And then Aaron Rodgers, they lost Davante Adams, which we'll get to in a little bit. And then also with Amari Cooper, I know that wasn't as big, but still Dak Prescott has a massive contract as well. So we're seeing this theme of quarterbacks with big contracts losing weapons around them, and therefore the team is getting worse. So is it worth it in the long run for the quarterbacks to have such money? I don't think so, but I'm not the quarterback, so
I would disagree.
You would disagree?
Strongly disagree. I think wide receivers are way more expendable than quarterbacks. If you look at a franchise quarterback, take someone like Josh Allen. Like, when are you going to get another Josh Allen? When are you going to get another Patrick Mahomes? There's only so many quarterbacks you can get. Like, think about the Browns the past, 40 years? How many quarterbacks have they gone through? Like 12, 13? Probably more. Like, I think if you can pay a quarterback very high, you'll get him for like the next 15 years. Like, take Aaron Rodgers, take Brett Favre, because I'm a Packer fan. So you look at those two quarterbacks, those have been the quarterbacks since like 1990, as where like the Browns have had 10. So I think wide receivers are it's almost like running backs. I think wide receivers and running backs are almost very expendable just because they're 5 of them usually. Like, they're 5 of them on the field, minus the tight end. I think obviously quarterback's only one position. So I would say quarterbacks, like, you got to lock them up, because otherwise another team's going to be paying that money that doesn't have, a good quarterback.
Yes, I agree with you. However, the other thing is that, like, if you look back in history, these contracts are not the same. Like, these contracts of today are so much larger.
Yeah, it's like way more expensive.
So we really need to prove it. I mean,
well, that's because there's more cap space.
That is true, yes. But if you look at the past Super Bowl winners, I guess the Chiefs did, but he didn't have that contract yet.
Yeah, that's
so.
True. I mean, Burrow wasn't highly paid. That's a good point.
Yeah,
that is.
I would say if you have a great quarterback, then you can like Aaron Rodgers, for example, can lead them to the playoffs. But you need a great weapon surrounding the quarterback in order for them to like produce a high level pace. So I would say quarterback is the number one important position on the field, in my opinion. But second is like running backs, wide receivers, and then you can't forget about the offensive line. But I feel like having targets makes the quarterback sometimes look good.
Yeah, I'm not saying wide receivers aren't like important. Like, you look at some of the past Super Bowl winners, like Jamar Chase went off for the Bengals last year. Well, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but they got to the Super Bowl, Joe Burrow being on still his rookie contract. You look, I guess
the Rams.
Look at the Rams. Yeah, Cooper Kupp's insane. Like, you need that number one weapon. So I totally agree with you guys there. I just think
the quarterbacks deserve to get paid.
Quarterbacks deserve to get paid. I think in this league, like, either you pay them or someone else is going to take them from you.
Yeah.
Which is why, as we're going to talk about, I guess we'll just talk about it right now, why the Packers made a priority of signing Aaron Rodgers over Davante Adams. Like, Davante Adams, arguably the number one receiver in the NFL, probably the number one receiver in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers, he back-to-back MVPs. You could say he's the number one quarterback in the NFL, but not as many people, I think, would make the case that he's better than Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen at this point. And I'm even a Packers fan, and I would rather have those two guys for my future.
I would still say right now Aaron Rodgers, but in the future, those two guys. But right now Aaron Rodgers coming back from back-to-back MVPs, and he can carry any team. So it doesn't really matter who he has out there with him. He can just make the players he has play better. So,
and I also think it's like a front office thing. Like, Aaron Rodgers is going to sell more tickets. Like, it's all, the NFL's a business at the end of the day.
True.
Like, Aaron Rodgers is going to sell more tickets being the quarterback of the Packers than Jordan Love being the quarterback while Davante Adams is the wide receiver. So I think that's why quarterbacks get paid so much. Like, they're the face of the franchise. But I would definitely agree with you guys on that point. Like, all the past Super Bowl winners, they either have solid running back or like a very good wide receiver. Like, I was thinking the Buccaneers, obviously they got Tom Brady, but they also had like Mike Evans.
Yep.
Very good receiver.
Chris Godwin. They got a bunch.
Antonio Brown,
before his meltdown. But let's kind of backtrack to the AFC West again. Davante Adams, huge pickup for the Raiders. Reunites with Derek Carr. It's, as a Packer fan, it's sad to see him go, but like, as we were discussing, we paid Rodgers that money. And, it was going to be unrealistic to sign him unless we wanted to lose other key players. But I think the Raiders had to make this move in order to compete at all, because every other team is so dominant in the AFC West right now. But I like the move. I think pairing him with Derek Carr is going to bring back some college highlights for them. And I think, the Raiders, they signed Max Crosby again, very solid defensive player. So I think all around, pretty solid.
I'm just shocked Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers separated. So I thought if one would go, the other one would go with them, or if one stayed, the other one would stay with them. But I'm happy with Davante Adams. Let's just see if he can pick up where he left off with Derek Carr and see how well they play together. But that division is probably the strongest one in the NFL. And I personally feel like Derek Carr is a very underrated quarterback. So let's just see if he can prove himself this year.
I can agree with that. And plus, like you were saying, with the college connection right there with Davante Adams and Derek Carr, if they can pick up where they left off, they will be an amazing duo right there, because they really did very well in college. Obviously, they're both really great players. They're both NFL players right now, but they had a ton of touchdowns, a ton of reception yards for I think it was 2 years that they were together until they separated. But the Raiders also picked up Chandler Jones, defensive end from the Cardinals, who is a great defensive end, great weapon for the Raiders to also get that as a weapon. So I'm liking the Raiders this upcoming year. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in this division, because there's so much competition that really, if they're going to have 6 games against very good teams. So any one of the teams could not do as well as we would imagine them to be, and then be a playoff contender. I could see three teams coming out of that into the playoffs.
Like every single game they play against each other is going to be like playoff games this year.
Yeah.
So it's going to be entertaining to watch for sure.
The AFC West should definitely be primetime TV this year. Definitely very exciting to see the AFC West kind of pan out. A little bit surprising, like I mentioned at the beginning, that the Chiefs kind of downgraded. Like you said, there's like a little bit of a downhill with trading away Tyreek Hill. But obviously, we'll see what they do with free agency trade moves they want to make, because now they don't have to take that, cap hit. They don't have to pay him that money. So
they still have Tyrann Mathieu as a free agent, right?
Yeah,
so he is a free agent. So yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But on a little bit of a downgraded note, I guess, we can talk about the Colts signing Matt Ryan. Now, Matt Ryan, great veteran quarterback. Me personally, I would have liked to see him sign trade for Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield definitely holds a lot more future and potential than Matt Ryan, but you can't complain. Matt Ryan's a seasoned pro. And I think definitely step up from Carson Wentz last year. And the Colts already have a solid team. So I like the move. I think they had to get a solid quarterback. And I think Matt Ryan to the Colts is pretty interesting.
The Colts offense is really solid right now. They have arguably like the best running back in Jonathan Taylor. They have T.Y. Hilton, and they have another guy. I think his name's Michael Pittman.
Yeah.
So they got Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton, and Matt Ryan. So, and their offensive line is good too to give Matt Ryan protection. So let's just see how well Matt Ryan produces with that system.
Yeah, that's really the only thing that there is to talk about, just to see if he can prove himself with another team aside from the Falcons. And though he did have some not great seasons the last couple of years, but you can also give that to Julio Jones being hurt or not there. And then this year with
Ridley.
Calvin Ridley, he was we don't even know. We're not really sure. And then he's
arrested or suspended for the rest of the season.
Suspended for the next season.
Falcons had no future with wide receivers there.
So you could blame it on that. We'll have to see if he can prove himself with the Colts with the new weapons that he has at wide receiver and the new running back. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
I would say there's a lot of new like star players who have to prove themselves next year.
Yes, definitely.
So see how they do. Yeah, but the Colts, I feel like the Colts are like an above 500 team now.
Yes. Well, I mean, they were last year too. and they somehow just lost in the last game of the season to the Jaguars.
Jacksonville, man.
I think that was the tipping point for that was the tipping point for Carson Wentz.
I was like, wow, yeah, Carson Wentz just did not have a good game.
Yeah,
they weren't going to go far in the playoffs with him anyway. It's just so sad to see a former like MVP candidate before he got injured for Nick Foles.
I know, yeah,
just fall off so hard. But now he's quarterback for the Commanders. So
yeah, that is true.
And the person who took Matt Ryan's spot, who you wanted on the Browns, is Deshaun Watson, which is a crazy move.
That is a crazy move. Yeah. I love Deshaun Watson. Besides some questionable things in the background, I guess you could say. Off the field issues, yes. But NFL play, amazing. He was, I think 4 years ago, he was with the not great team that he had. He led the NFL in passing yards. And that just shows how good he is with not having weapons around him. And now he goes to the Browns, who they just picked up Amari Cooper as well. And Jarvis Landry is looking for a trade. He's seeking a trade, so I don't know if he'll stay. But he's got at least Amari Cooper, who is better than he had with the Texans. So
he's got Nick Chubb too on the backfield.
True, and Kareem Hunt as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Browns are definitely intriguing. Especially in a division where they got the Steelers, where Big Ben just retired. I mean,
true.
Have they figured out a quarterback position yet for
Mitch Trubisky?
Trubisky.
Mitch.
I don't know if they found a solution there.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't call that a solution. I just call that
the Nickelodeon most valuable player right there.
Yeah, the Nickelodeon MVP, the MVP. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, step up from Mason Rudolph. But still, it's like going from an F to a D. Not very great. And
yeah. Honestly,
of watching him in that division.
maybe not even a D. Like,
yeah,
he's got a lot to prove. That's what we have to see.
We'll see with Mitch though. I don't know. He's always a question mark.
Them losing Juju, it's like
now
they got Chase Claypool.
Chase Claypool's it.
Yeah, and
Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson. So. He's doing pretty well in the last couple of years, but still.
I just feel bad for the Steelers because 2 years ago the Steelers were like on an undefeated start to the season, right? And then everything came crashing down,
just like the Cardinals.
Yeah, but the one thing I will say about the Steelers is you can never count out Mike Tomlin because over the course of his entire career, he's never had a losing season. He's had a couple 500 seasons, but never had a losing season. So really, you can't count him out. And yes, he's always had Big Ben, I think, as his whole career.
Yeah.
So it's going to be different this year without him and with Mitchell Trubisky, who has a lot to prove. We'll just keep it with that. But it's going to be interesting to see if Mike Tomlin is going to be able to create a playoff contending team or at least a good enough team so that they can add some weapons in the future and be a good team in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think just going back to the AFC South real quick, like everyone's given that division to the Colts now, but we'll see with the Titans. I think, they still got Derrick Henry. They just signed Robert Woods.
They did. They stole him for a 6th round pick, a future 6th round pick.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I think
they got Austin Hooper now.
Yeah. Yes, they did.
That's a good pickup. I think Tannehill, as much backlash as he gets, like he's still a mediocre to solid quarterback. At least he's a veteran. Like, he's still got experience. Yeah. Playoff, like if they can make a run in the playoffs, like I don't know, because we saw last year against the Bengals that divisional round, he just did not play well, and Bengals end up winning that game, but it was still close. Regardless, I think we probably won't see him go deep in the playoffs, but I think they'll definitely contend with the Colts for that seed, and that could potentially be the difference between making the playoffs and not, because as we said, AFC West might have 3 playoff teams.
True.
2 of them making the wild card, obviously 1 winning the division. So I think Titans definitely had to make a little bit of moves at the wide receiver position, especially with Julio being a free agent. Don't know what's going to happen with him.
I feel like them losing Julio is kind of like a benefit to them.
I agree.
Get him off your payroll.
They got AJ Brown,
and now
Robert Woods, Austin Hooper. If Derrick Henry returns to where he left off, I feel like he's the best running back in the league. So let's see how well they play.
I think he can. It's just injuries are always scary.
True. Yeah. And speaking of injuries, going back to Julio Jones real quick, he's always injured. He was injured this year, injured last year, injured the year before. He's always been injured. And if you look at his earlier career, he was amazing. Obviously, he was one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in his earlier years. But with his injuries, he is unable to do as well. And even in the weeks after his injuries, he's not doing that well because he can't connect with the teams. If he's so injured that the quarterbacks can't connect with him and like get that in their minds, like get the familiarity between them, then you're not going to be able to get targets that much. So, going back to the free agent. The other side of the Matt Ryan one is the Falcons. They signed Marcus Mariota. I know it's not the same, but I still like Marcus Mariota. I feel like he still has it in him.
You just got to give him a chance, really. I think Mariota could be solid. I guess it all just depends on scheme. But Mariota on the Titans obviously didn't really work out.
Back in his Oregon days, he was like insane.
Yeah, him and Jameis Winston were going at it.
And the Falcons re-signed Cordero Patterson.
They did.
So
and they signed Damian Williams from the Bears. Running back. So
let's see if they like try and do a running scheme with Marcus Mariota.
Option plays are going to be
option.
That scheme is going to totally change. I mean, you have Matt Ryan, a totally immobile quarterback. You've got Marcus Mariota, at least has some agility.
Very true.
Very agile quarterback. And now you got Cordero Patterson, the dual wide receiver running back threat. So I think that's interesting. But speaking about Jameis Winston, re-signed with the New Orleans Saints. So that really leaves the question for me: where is Baker Mayfield going, guys?
Where is left? Like, what else is left?
Well, some people are saying the Panthers, and he can battle it out with Sam Darnold. I just don't think the Panthers.
I say Steelers. That's probably like
even with Mitch Trubisky.
I mean, I would 100% take Baker Mayfield over.
Well, I would too. Yes.
So.
Yeah, I heard an interesting take that he might go to Tampa Bay,
sit
behind Tom Brady, and overtake Kyle Trask, because when Brady eventually retires, because he's already got retirement in his mind, Baker Mayfield will be the next Tampa Bay quarterback. It's an interesting concept. I just don't know. Like at this point, is he even going to be a starter next year? Because I don't know if like I said, I don't know if Carolina's making a move. The Saints probably won't make a move. They just re-signed Jameis Winston.
Right, that's their move right there.
Yeah, like that. That's it. Like I don't know what Baker Mayfield's gonna do. Obviously, not gonna be. He doesn't want to be in Cleveland. They just traded for Deshaun Watson. So
true.
Any ideas? Do you guys have any idea at all?
I would say Steelers over Mr. Trubisky.
Steelers could be a good move,
but you could also
Mitch could have been a good backup.
You could also do Panthers with Christian McCaffrey.
Could
see that happening too.
True. I don't know. I think the Panthers are gonna draft a quarterback.
They'll draft. Yeah, they'll draft instead of trade.
Yep. Try to get a new one, just a fresh start. They've got some good weapons on that team, but I feel like maybe I know they just signed a quarterback, but I feel like the Giants would be a potential suiting point for Baker Mayfield. They did sign Tyrod Taylor, so I don't think they're going to this season, but maybe in future seasons. I feel like the Giants would be a good enough fit for him.
Well, they got Danny Dimes. Like every single Giants fan I know is like Danny Dimes going to be like the next head of like the NFL. I'm like, no way. But let's see what happens.
He's got a new start though. They finally got rid of Gettleman and Joe Judge is out the door. So
yeah,
hopefully Daniel Jones. We'll see what he has in him. Like
I feel like he needs more like weapons around him.
As a rookie, like yes, that's like Trevor Lawrence last year, like thrown in there, like nobody knows. But
but I don't think Danny Dimes is.
It just depends on how they feel about Daniel Jones. Like if they're ready to move on, I could totally see him trading for Baker, having Tyrod as a backup, and that's a solid 1-2 punch in case anything happens to Baker. But
true, honestly, if let's say going back to the Giants for next year without Baker Mayfield at this point. If they do have Daniel Jones and he's not performing well, then they can just put in Tyrod Taylor. And I can't guarantee it, but I could see it very easily happening in like the third week. Tyrod Taylor goes in, does pretty well.
Just takes over his
and
spot.
He's the starter. Yeah.
Over Daniel. Yeah.
Yeah. Easily. Yes.
I think in Baker's best interest, he sits out a year. That's my personal opinion because he was injured last year. He was playing through injury in Cleveland. So he had a down year. Everyone's saying, wow, Baker's a bust. Baker's this, Baker's that. After he had I think it was like 3 solid seasons.
He did, yeah.
And now it's like he's just the biggest bust of all time at #1 overall pick. Yeah. Like he hasn't been outstanding, but he definitely brought the Browns from a terrible routing franchise to like they made the playoffs and they beat the Steelers. Like they aren't that. Like they finally have a name in the NFL, not the
True.
worst team in the league anymore. And
They were close
I
to the
think
Chiefs too in that one. And
they
although
were,
Patrick
yeah.
Mahomes did get hurt in that game and he had to sit out, they were still close. I was rooting for the Browns, but
Yeah, of
alas, they
course.
didn't win.
They almost beat the Packers too. Don't even get me started about that. But I think Cleveland's like he kind of built up their repertoire again, and
Yeah, he did.
people don't give him enough credit for that. So I think where Baker goes, I just want him to sit a year. That's why I think Tampa Bay might be good. Sits a year if Brady, Brady's already got retirement in his mind. If he retires next year, Baker could beat out
True.
Kyle Trask for that starting position. I think.
I feel like Baker gets a bad rep around the NFL.
He does.
That's why no one wants him.
Well, because college, he was all cocky, and everyone's comparing him to
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel, and then he's like the number 1 overall pick, and everyone's forgetting about how good he was at the start of his career. I mean,
yeah. Well, the start of his career is not great. He was okay. Browns
Yeah.
weren't that great that first year, but the second.
Well, they had Tyrod starting, I think, like half the games.
Okay, because
Tyrod-
Baker came in against the Jets, and then it was Sam Darnold versus Baker Mayfield, and the Browns won, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's all right. That was a couple years ago.
I'm
and
sorry
then
about Sam Darnold, still, man. So sorry.
it's okay.
First and third overall picks in the same draft, and
Oh yeah.
that's why I think not Tampa Bay. I already said Tampa Bay. I think Carolina would be interesting. You got the 1 and the 3 overall picks battling it out for the starting QB position. I don't know. Well,
that would be crazy. Storylining.
it's definitely tough to see because we don't have all like the cap stuff on us right now.
Yeah.
But
True.
But I could see the Jets being a pretty good team moving forward in the future. Like if they get a better quarterback than Zach White. Like I know Zach White's decent, but he has
Zach
too
Wilson.
Zach
Yeah.
Wilson.
Zach Wilson and Mike White.
Zach Wilson, Mike White.
White's
Yeah.
better than Zach.
But Zach Wilson, if Zach Wilson limits the turnovers, then maybe he'll get better. But I feel like the Jets are a very young team, and they can do something in the future with the core players they have so far.
Ryan can take this one over. I'm not even going to comment.
I like what you're saying, Jordan. Jets are going to be good in a couple years. Maybe even this year they're going to be pretty solid. I don't think they're going to be a playoff this year, but maybe next year. I definitely see it the year after that, if not next year. They signed CJ. They already got a great team, of course. Good enough team. They have a ton of young talent on that team, and they got a couple of draft picks. The 10th pick and the 5th or 4th. I think it's 4th and 10th. That's it. But they signed the tight end from the Bengals, CJ Uzomah, and then they also got an offensive guard, which is very much needed because they have a very terrible offensive line at the moment. They got a safety from the Buccaneers, Jordan Whitehead, who some are saying is going to be one of the greatest steals of this free agency. And then they got a quarterback, DJ Reed from the Seahawks, who's also very good. He's got to prove himself, obviously, because it's a new team, but I think it's a great pickup. They re-signed Flacco. That doesn't really matter that much.
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, and they also re-signed Braxton Berrios, who, if you're not a Jets fan, you don't know him. But if you're a Jets fan, you love him because the man is one of the best punt returners and kick returners in the NFL, I would say. I think he made the Pro Bowl, I believe, but I'm not sure about that. But there was a game where he just went absolutely off. The last couple weeks of the season when he wasn't hurt, when he was in there, that he did very well with Zach Wilson. But yeah, like Jordan said, Zach Wilson does need to prove himself again this year. He kind of started to at the end of last season, but he's just got to make better decisions with passing the ball to not better players, but making smarter decisions on passing the ball to players. If he limits the turnovers like he started to at the end of last season, and he can get more yardage, because there's a lot of drives that were 3-and-outs last season. And although he didn't have turnovers, he wasn't also making the decision to pass the ball to like the open player. So turnovers were down, but so were touchdowns and yards. So he has to prove himself this year. But I'm liking the Jets. I love the Jets, of course.
Yeah. I mean, you got the sweatshirt and everything.
I do have the sweatshirt on right now.
Dispute that. You guys did let Marcus May go.
We
that
did.
Was sad.
To the Saints. Very sad.
One of my favorite safeties in the league.
Yeah. Very underrated
tough.
too.
Yeah, tough to see him go.
Yeah. Although he was injured for the last half of this year, so we'll make it up. Especially we got the other safety. So
yeah, you guys.
It's fine. Yeah. Tough to see him go though.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about what Tyreek Hill, Devontae. Are there any really notable other free agents like Matt Ryan? We talked about.
Let's see. The Vikings.
Vikings got Zadarius Smith and also Jordan Hicks. Which are two big pickups for us. Yeah, because we definitely need more linebackers. I mean, of course we have Eric Kendricks, who I think was leading the league in tackles. So he's a very solid linebacker. Also Anthony Barr, and they've been together since like UCLA days. So it's good that they're like still playing well together. But Jordan Hicks and Zadarius Smith are going to be two huge pickups for us on the defensive side. Our offense is decent. We just need more defensive players. See how this new head coach and the general manager do. But I'm liking the general manager move so far this offseason. Let's just see about the draft. And hopefully the head coach can hopefully make us into the playoffs. Because I feel like we're a better team than the Packers, honestly. Because like the Packers have Aaron Rodgers, but like we have Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, like Adam Thielen, better defense in my opinion.
Been saying that for years.
Danielle Hunter. I mean,
we got
Harrison
the bad
Smith
man at
still.
quarterback though.
Yeah, but
and
like,
our defense is way better. Well, we got to re-sign a ton of defensive players now. Like for your sake, because I want the division to be good.
But we took Zadarius Smith from you guys.
Well, we let him go because we re-signed Preston Smith. And
then he let go Devontae Adams. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, he left though. I mean, he wasn't gonna play regardless. That was tough. But we decided to re-sign or extend Preston Smith and let Zadarius go. We could have. I guess we could have gone either way. So we wanted Preston more than Zadarius. So you guys got our scraps. But
on honestly, offense, who is better, the Vikings or Packers? Like
Packers. You guys got Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, but we have more weapons.
You guys
we have a better running back.
And Justin Jefferson.
We have better wide
Probably
receivers.
the greatest 1-2 duo. I'll give you that. Probably the greatest 1-2 wide receiver duo in the league. But we re-signed Tanya, and we've got one of the best backfields in the league, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon.
Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison.
If you watch the divisional game against the 49ers, once AJ Dillon went out, the Packers offense just came to a standstill. So he's definitely a big part. I'll give you that though.
I'd say AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones are like the best running backs too, but they're not better than Dalvin Cook and Alexander
Dalvin
Madison.
Cook's solid, but who's your number 2?
Alexander Madison, yeah.
Madison, I mean, he's not bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough because I think the offense revolves around the quarterback, but you guys have better wide receiver weapons. I'll say that. Not a better tight end. Wide receiver weapons.
Yeah,
tight end, better singular running back for sure. Duo running back, I think we got you guys.
If Dalvin Cook stays healthy all year,
Cook's a monster.
Yeah.
But finally, I think the Packers developed a good run defense. Finally, like with letting Devontae go, as tragic as that was, and letting Zadarius go, as tragic as that was, we got to re-sign Rasul Douglas. We still got Jair didn't even play last year, so we got Jair coming back. Our defense is gonna be scary. We just signed what's his name from Kansas City? Signed like a defensive tackle. I'll look it up in a second. If you guys want to digress about this.
Sure.
Well, I say Vikings.
I think we have. Right? You can give your
opinion. I'll give my unbiased opinion right here. Well, still biased, but I think with Aaron Rodgers right now, the Packers are a better offensive team than the Vikings. However, if you take out Aaron Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, the Vikings are by far better than the Packers. So I think it's really all down to that quarterback position. If the Vikings find a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins, or if Kirk Cousins starts popping off this year, Vikings have it for sure. And on defense, I don't really know. I feel like it's pretty even both ways.
If Cousins just like,
it was Jaron. Sorry to interrupt. It was Jaron Reed, by the way. Defensive tackle. Not the biggest name, not Chris Jones, but he started for Kansas City. Solid
no, but
lineman. The
Vikings, if Kirk Cousins just contributes a little bit, and Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen just take over that offense, and Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins just is solid, I feel like that offense is way better than the Packers.
I think the defense is just.
If Aaron Rodgers pops off, then the Packers.
The defense were leagues ahead. I mean, we can go position by position if you want, but I don't think it's even a contest. I mean, cornerbacks are like.
Quarterbacks, you guys got us.
No, I'm not even gonna mention.
But cornerbacks,
Well, cornerbacks, you guys.
Cornerbacks is the worst position on the Vikings defense. 100%.
Now it is. It used to be linebackers.
Used to be the Vikings used to have Xavier Rhodes, who was amazing, and their linebacker position was good too. But let's see how Jordan Hicks and Zadarius Smith can play with the Vikings. But I see the Vikings having a bounce back year, definitely making it to the playoffs, and let's see how far we can go.
I mean, I'd like to see them in the wild card.
Yeah,
respectfully. No, they could give us a run for money. I'm not doubting.
I feel like the Vikings and the Packers, when they play good, make the division just 100 times better.
Oh yeah, Well, we can agree that we're leagues ahead of the Lions and the
Bears
right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think the matchup I'm so excited to see next year though is Justin Jefferson versus Jair. That's gonna be so good.
Mhm.
I'll say this as a Packer fan though, it's tough going against the Vikings twice a year. But I think we got to see what the Packers do at wide receiver. That's like the biggest thing. If we don't get another wide receiver, it's definitely disputable that you guys have a better offense than us.
But you guys do have Randall Cobb, right?
Do have he's old.
Yeah, that was with them last year, right?
That was for Rodgers.
Yeah,
Rodgers wanted Randall Cobb, so we got Randall Cobb. We've got Lazard. Like Alan Lazard's a really solid young receiver.
Valdez-Scantling's, I think he might be a free agent.
He went to the Bears.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Bears stole him.
Yeah,
that's fine. Bye, Marquez. He dropped too many passes anyway. But I think like Lazard right now, wide receiver 1, Cobb at wide receiver 2, scary.
That is very scary. So what's their pick in the draft?
We have 22 and 20. I think 22 and 28, or 22 and 26.
But of all the mock drafts I've seen, there haven't been too many wide receivers been dropping early. It's mostly been offensive linemen and defense. So
maybe take one of those picks.
I'm gonna say right now the Packers are gonna draft a quarterback with their first round pick.
Don't even start.
They're gonna trade up for the number 1 pick.
If they draft a quarterback with their first pick, I'll be a Vikings fan. I'll be a Vikings fan with you. I promise. But
oh man,
I want to see him take. You guys know Chris Olave?
No.
Wide receiver, Ohio State, best receiver in the draft right now. I mean, love to see the Packers take him. I
feel like the Packers have to trade up.
They would have to trade up. Trade up. But we've got 2 first rounders.
Do you?
We can figure out something.
Who's the other first rounder? What's the other first rounder? Oh, you got
one from Las Vegas.
That's right.
Devontae.
So that's even. Is that earlier?
It was earlier than our original pick.
Okay.
Because
that's like what the Vikings did with trading away Stephon Diggs. Then they traded up with the Bills pick, and they got Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, that's what I hope the Packers do, because Olave is like around the 15-20 range. Some mock drafts have him going at 10, but hopefully he doesn't go that high.
And the one thing that you both weren't mentioning was the draft pick. So like, if I guess you were mentioning a little bit, but like if the Packers do get a great wide receiver or another offensive weapon, I guess it would really only be a wide receiver or defense, I guess, in the draft, the Packers will definitely be better than the Vikings next year. I'm sorry, Jordan. But if they don't, though, if they trade away or they don't get great offensive weapons, then I don't know. The Vikings, they could make a splash in the draft.
And then wonder if the Vikings get like a crazy good cornerback in the draft. And then
maybe,
fits in right away.
We got Eric Stokes last year, who I think is underrated. He did really well. But like you talk about maybe someone like Pat Surtain, like that would be sick. Like, yeah.
No, but one wide receiver that left our division was Allen Robinson, and he's on the Rams now.
True. Yeah. I like that. I like that for the Rams.
I think that's way better than OBJ.
Well, I mean, OBJ could still get back.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at just last season's stats, OBJ took the cake easily. But I think it's because of the QB situation with the Bears that Allen Robinson was not performing, because I guess he just didn't connect. So like, if you don't connect with the quarterback, then you can't do that well on the field, because he connected with Mooney. Mooney had a pretty solid season, better than average. But Allen Robinson going to the Rams, he's proved himself before, and then he got the franchise tag and then just underperformed so much. So we'll have to see what happens with the Rams. But I could say that he's a better receiver than Robert Woods. I would say that.
That's disputable. Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point.
In my fantasy team, I picked up Allen Robinson in like the 3rd round of the draft. Worst draft pick ever, probably, because he played terrible. And then I picked up Darnell Mooney in free agency, and he just popped off for me.
Yeah,
so
true.
I think it was just tough for him, because obviously Nagy's out the door. You had the Andy Dalton and Justin Fields pretty much switching off all year at quarterback.
Yeah.
You can't get comfortable with
there was no chemistry. between him and the quarterback.
They just got to figure out their number one, which I think they're going with Justin Fields next year for sure.
It makes sense.
They should. I think
Andy Dalton's a free agent right now too.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think if they really want him back, they'd already have him signed.
Yeah, true.
And Stafford just signed a 4-year, $160 million contract extension.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. Like, it's big money. So
he's gonna be there.
got their guy.
Yeah,
I think it's a great situation for Allen Robinson. No,
yeah,
it definitely. It's tough to say. I think Allen Robinson and Robert Woods are very comparable. Yeah, I don't know if I'd put one above the other so far, just because we have to wait and see because Robinson had such a down year.
And
True.
Woods was hurt.
But yeah,
too.
Woods was out for the year.
His peak, I would argue Allen Robinson was better than Woods.
Yeah, for sure. And then
Yeah.
plus now, well, Robert Woods going to a different team will be interesting because when it wasn't Matthew Stafford, Robert Woods was the number one target, I think. Well, he had better stats than Cooper Kupp did in at least 1 year and I think 2 years before Matthew Stafford got there. And then obviously Robert Woods got hurt last year. OBJ came in. So Cooper Kupp had a much better season last year. He's obviously the number one target for Matthew Stafford, but Robert Woods could be. Well, they got AJ Brown already, so
yeah, I was gonna say.
So
that.
if
Good 1-2 duo.
Yeah, but then again, Allen Robinson won't be the number one target either.
Cooper Kupp. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Maybe even third if they re-sign OBJ.
I think I think it's very replaceable. Honestly, I think it's a very good situation for both guys. They're pretty much just switching jerseys and teams at this point.
Yeah,
basically.
but I think it's gonna benefit both of them in the long run.
I think so too.
But the Rams are looking really different. Like
Yeah.
they lost Von Miller. Don't know
True.
about OBJ. They lost Robert Woods.
Yeah.
Picked up Allen Robinson. Let's see how the team picks up.
Yeah, I mean, Donald didn't retire.
No.
Not yet.
Rams are super excited about that. You don't
Yeah,
want
of
the
course.
most dominant defensive player, I would argue, of all time retiring.
Yeah, one of the best.
Not all time, but definitely the best one I've seen growing up. I would
Yeah.
say
Lawrence. I mean, we haven't watched Lawrence Taylor, Brian Dawkins, all those guys, but in our lifetime, for sure, I think it's definitely Aaron Donald.
I don't know. I feel like there's been very good. Like JJ Watt was very good. TJ Watt is very good.
But
right
for
now.
I'm thinking longevity too.
Okay,
Like, how long?
yeah, I'll
is
give you
Aaron
that.
Donald?
JJ Watt was really good, but he was
Now
hurt.
he's
yeah.
But
true.
TJ Watt's a beast.
TJ
though.
Watt's doing really well. I love watching TJ
Mhm.
Watt.
But speaking of Von Miller to the Bills,
Bills are
I'm liking it.
So-
Actually, well, I like it for the
think they're winning
Bills.
Super
The
Bowl.
Bills are winning the Super Bowl.
They better
100%.
win.
I'm rooting for. No, I'm not rooting for the Bills. I'm rooting for the Jets. But I think the Bills will win the Super Bowl, and it stinks that Von Miller's going to be playing the Jets 2 times a year now, if not more, if they make the playoffs, which is very unlikely, especially with now the Dolphins getting Tyreek Hill. So that's unfortunate. The Patriots still, I don't know what's going to happen with the Patriots. They haven't really done much in the offseason, but they made the playoffs last year, and the Bills already being amazing and now being even more amazing. So I don't really know what's going to happen.
I think the Bills are the one team that just nobody hates. Like, even if you're a
Yeah.
Patriots fan, like, how can you hate them? You guys have dominated them for so long.
True.
So I think everyone around the league would be happy. Like, I would sit here and say, like, yeah, I want the Packers to win the Super Bowl, but that'd make a lot of people mad. A lot of people mad, especially Jordan.
Like I would say Vikings, but my brother's a big Bills fan, so
and that's just
I
not
would be
gonna
happy
happen.
if he. Nah, but the Bills picked up Jamison Crowder too.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
I did not know that, and that's really sad to see
So,
him go. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jameson. Yeah.
Yeah, Jameson.
Jets are looking terrible. No, Jets are gonna be good. You guys got
Yeah.
a young team.
We do have a young
the
team.
Jets are gonna be good, but against that division,
It's gonna.
I think you guys might have to find your quarterback too. Like, that's what I think the Vikings are missing.
yeah.
Because I was joking about, like, or I was serious about, like, you guys won't win the Super Bowl. Like, I just do not see it happening because
of
Kirk
the
Cousins is
quarterback,
at the helm. Like, you look at the past Super Bowl winners, even the people in the Super Bowl, like, they've all got
they all have
solid
like
quarterbacks.
solid, yeah.
So I think you guys are that.
Kirk
one-
is solid, but he's not like a star quarterback.
Yeah, right.
So after this year, you guys hopefully, for your sake, for my sake, I hope you guys keep
But-
him. For your sake,
I'm
let
pretty
him
sure they
go.
just
Draft
extended
him.
him though, for like another
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a 1 year. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. We'll see
Oh
what
wait,
happens with
was
that.
he already? So now is it going to be 2 more years or?
I think it's gonna be this year and then following year.
Okay, it's 2 more years.
Then hopefully we
Yeah, maybe you
get a better
know.
quarterback.
Yeah, draft a quarterback this year, maybe late. Try to develop him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because do you guys get Kellen Mond? I think that's his name. Quarterback. I think
don't
it was
know.
like last year or
Maybe.
something. Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure.
yeah, he was a solid quarterback in the draft, and I thought the Vikings got him, but
I don't know
I
about
don't
that.
I don't know what
Yeah.
they're gonna do with him. You reckon?
Yeah.
I'll check real quick.
For the
Actually,
other
I'll check.
team in that division, the Lions, they were on the upward trend at the end of last year with a couple really nice games, and they picked up another weapon. They got DJ Chark, which is, he's fine. He's not bad. He was pretty solid a couple years ago, and then last year wasn't really an off year. It was a pretty good year for the Jaguars, but it was with Trevor Lawrence. So if you have a better quarterback, which not even really that arguably, the Lions have a better quarterback with Jared Goff, but you got DJ Chark, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who popped off at the end of last year, and they re-signed Josh Reynolds. So they got a solid wide receiver core there. And, I mean, yes, they were one of the worst teams in the league this year. Were they the worst? No, I think
the Lions.
Yeah.
No, I think
the Jaguars
were.
Yeah. I think Lions were second or third.
So going back to the Vikings position that you said, the quarterback, Jimmy G was actually in a Super Bowl, and so is Jared Goff. And I feel like Kirk Cousins is better than both of them. So let's see if like the Vikings.
That's a good point. I think with both their cases, though, the defense carried them so much.
Yeah.
So like that's a thing where it's like, are the Vikings really complete on that defensive end to be that dominant? Because you look at the 49ers that year, probably the best defensive team. The Rams too. Like they got, that was the year I think they got. Did they get Ramsey that year?
I think so.
I think it was first year in town. So
yeah, but did they win? That's all I'm saying.
But like
they made it. Yes, I know.
Kirk Cousins is overall, in my opinion, better than both those quarterbacks. So if the Vikings can pick up where they left off on offense and get better on defense, and they have a shot. Also, we drafted Kellen Mond. So yeah,
that's who.
Look at the brain remembering Vikings, my enemies' picks, bro. I think regardless, like I know we've got NFC bias, you have AFC bias, but I think an AFC teams win the Super Bowl this year.
You think so?
I think
I think the Bills are gonna win.
It's like you've already got all the competition in one division, the AFC West. I think, and the popular opinion is this, but I think it could be true. Like whoever's coming out of the AFC West is winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's tough to say because you've got the Bills, but it's like you play each other. You think about like almost half the schedule is playing like let's say I were the Chargers or something, or like let's say I was the Raiders. Like you got to play the Chiefs twice a year. Like the Chiefs are still going to be very dominant. Like they lost Tyreek, they got Mahomes, Travis Kelce. They've got a very solid core.
The AFC is way better than the NFC. Just like the teams against teams, like just on a list on paper. So I'd say with that, the AFC is going to get even better because they're going to be playing better competition, and that's going to make them into a better team than an NFC team coming out.
Exactly.
Going to
and like if you're like I was saying, like AFC, if you're an AFC West team, 6 out of your 17 games are just against unbelievable teams.
True.
Like very, very solid teams. Like they aren't cakewalks at all. Plus you've got other teams that are going to be like let's say the other half of the schedule is going to be pretty tough teams. The others. So you're looking at like, I don't know, like 12, 13 games out of 17 that are actually going to be difficult.
True. And let's talk about the Chargers real quick because we haven't really touched on them. But they had a great signing with Khalil Mack for the Bears. We forgot to mention him when you're talking about the Bears. But that's a huge move for the Chargers. He's still got it, I'd say.
He's still got it.
Yeah, he was amazing a couple years ago. He's still doing pretty solid. And they also got J.C. Jackson from the Patriots, who a lot of people, I think he led the league in interceptions, but he was also the most targeted, and I think he gave up the most yards or the most touchdowns, one of the two in the league. So he had these interceptions, but because of all the targets he got interceptions, but he also gave up a lot. So some would argue that J.C. Jackson's not that great. I feel like he's pretty solid. Interceptions are huge for a team, even more. If you give up yards, yes, but yes, it's bad, but still, like, if you get an interception, that's a huge win for your team. And they signed Gerald Everett from the Seahawks, the tight end, he's all right. He's not that great, but it's a move nonetheless. They lost Hunter Henry the year before to the Patriots. So, and they re-signed Mike Williams, who is he's up and down. I can't say he's very good. He can be very good. He has very good games, but he also will end a game with like 2 catches and 10 yards. So I don't know. I'm liking the Chargers though this upcoming year. I don't know if they're the top team in that division anymore, but they were for a couple days.
I would say Justin Herbert, in my opinion, is like a top 5 quarterback. Yeah, like he's still very young, but he's on the rise, and he was the AFC Pro Bowl MVP. I'm pretty sure. So Justin Herbert has shown flashes of who he could be, and I feel like he's still so young that he's only going to improve.
True.
So,
and of the first 2 years of all NFL history, Justin Herbert has the most yards of any first 2 years of any rookie and second year quarterback.
And I feel like if you have him on offense with Keenan Allen, and
Mike Williams, and now Gerald Everett,
and then you got Khalil Mack on the defensive side with I think Darwin James, J.C. Jackson.
Derwin's insane.
The Chargers could be a a threat too in that division. I mean, every single team in that division's a threat, but in the AFC as a whole, they could be a threat to make it to the Super Bowl.
It's super tough to see. I mean, I was gonna say the Raiders were the worst team in that division, but now they got Devontae, so we'll see. But
I would say the Chiefs are the worst.
They also have
division.
Josh Jacobs too. The
That's
Raiders.
a good argument. I wouldn't say the Chiefs yet, just because they have that Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes chemistry. Like they've been there. But roster wise, you could make the argument for sure.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Chiefs is that yes, they have a great offense, but their offense is not as good right now without Tyreek Hill, with Juju Juju Smith-Schuster.
They still have Kelsey.
They do still have Kelsey.
But target. I know what you're saying.
But when you did focus your attention on Travis Kelsey, then Tyreek Hill was open, and when you did the vice versa, Travis Kelsey was open.
I say Clyde Edwards-Helaire is gonna have a really uptick in his.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, well, Jerick McKinnon did good too.
Yeah,
that's your boy from the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going off of the Chiefs.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they can use him in the running. They can use him on screen action plays. They can use Travis Kelsey. I feel like the Chiefs are not the worst, but they're going downhill.
The offense will still function similar. I think. It's just that. I mean, the spacing of the field is going to be so much more different because Tyreek Hill had so much attention. If he got sent on a deep route, that takes probably multiple safeties and the cornerback out of the play, so it leaves a whole middle of the field wide open.
Yeah.
I think they just have to find another speedy receiver. Maybe take I don't know his name, but there's someone who just beat John Ross's NFL Combine.
Oh, that's right.
40-yard dash record. Maybe they go take him just as a distraction, a deep threat, because Mahomes can sling it down. I mean, he's done it with Tyreek Hill his whole career so far.
Yeah, but the one thing I have to say about the Chiefs is that before Tyreek Hill left and they signed Juju Smith-Schuster, I thought that was a terrible decision because they don't need offense. They need defense. Their defense is the weak point of their team. And it's really, they're not even sure if they're going to have Tyrann Mathieu. It's kind of looking like he's not going to come back based on some of the things he's said recently, but he might, if he does come back, okay, you got a safety. The rest of the defense still has to make up for.
I would say the Chiefs have a pretty good defensive line.
Yeah,
for the run game.
I'll give you that.
And also, they have the best quarterback in the division, or the best quarterback in the NFL, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Very arguable, yeah.
This year was a little down, especially he tried to be too good, especially in the beginning of the year. The Chiefs were not doing that hot.
Yeah.
Because I think Patrick Mahomes was trying to be too fancy, honestly.
I'd say the team that's going to finish last in that division is the Broncos.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, Wilson's got to stay healthy. He was injured, like we said, the first half of last year.
The Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Raiders. I'd say the Raiders are better than the Broncos.
I would also say that.
We'll see how Devontae does, though. That's my biggest thing is, how do you do without having the best quarterback in the league? Two-time MVP. I think I was telling Jordan this because it was kind of similar when Greg Jennings left in 2011 after the Packers won a Super Bowl. He honestly, over Jordy Nelson, he was the number one target for Rodgers. So everyone was thinking when he went to the Vikings, oh, he's going to be so dominant. How could the Packers let him go? Obviously, unfortunately for you, Jordan, he did not do well at all. So we'll see with Devontae. It's going to be a big transition going from I'm not saying Derek Carr is bad, but I think there's just a whole nother level between the top three quarterbacks in the league. I think undisputably Rodgers, Mahomes, and Allen in no particular order. And then
I would say Brady
from the rest of the league. Well, I mean, you still got Brady. I don't know.
Yeah,
Brady didn't do tremendous last year.
I would have to disagree very much. I feel like Brady had one of the best.
If Brady comes back to where
I hate betting against Tom Brady, but the man's 45. What are you telling me he's better than Mahomes?
Brady's gonna play till he's 80.
He's gonna play till he's solid. He's just not amazing.
I don't know. He had a very good season last year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have one of the most pass heavy offenses in the NFL. And
Brady also had the best stats in the league last year. So
I don't know. Last year was MVP, but
well, yeah.
We'll see. He's got retirement on his mind. We'll see.
Yeah, but they also re-signed Godwin. They re-signed Fournette, and they got Russell Gage from the Falcons.
Mike Evans still.
Yeah, they still got Mike Evans as a replacement.
I feel like he has the weapons around him to make him. I mean, he also had the best stats in the league, but he has the weapons around him more than any other quarterback.
Yeah,
arguably.
Yeah, but the one thing is Gronk still has not signed, which is kind of surprising. I thought he would have signed right after Brady came back, but he is a free agent at the moment. Obviously, Antonio Brown isn't coming back. He's a free agent. You got a lot of free agents out there actually right now. Jadeveon Clowney from Cleveland. He's a free agent. OBJ, we've been talking about him. He's a free agent.
Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner
I
is.
think this year Brady's gonna be. I mean, he retired, and now he's back. Like he still has retirement on his mind.
Another free agent.
He might prove me wrong. It's just gonna take a lot for you to convince me that he's better than Mahomes, Allen, or Rodgers at this point.
He can't run, but he's so good at passing.
He's so good at passing, but like outside of
he
that,
knows the
like,
system better than anyone, I would say.
That's a good point.
Like,
I mean, he is the GOAT. He's the undisputed GOAT.
And also another free agent is Gronkowski. So Gronkowski
yeah.
might come back at a retirement and play with Brady again.
Yeah.
You got Will Fuller, which I can
Will
see.
Fuller. Julio Jones we talked about him earlier. Stephon Gilmore. He's a very good cornerback still.
Maybe he goes to the Vikings. That would be great.
I mean, I don't think he's going to the Jets because they got. I think they'll have the cornerback locked up with the draft and with their signings this year. And even last year, they had some pretty solid for being first rookies and second year. Not bad at all. Bryce Hall was pretty solid last year.
And then you got Cam Newton, but I would say Cam Newton's gonna retire because like there's no.
Yeah, I don't know who he's gonna.
Cam Newton's kind of off the grid.
Fitzmagic is still out there.
Don't even talk to me. No.
Fitzmagic, what are you talking
starting.
about? I love Fitzmagic.
Yeah. I know he might have been good for the terrible Jets team, but
all right. Let's calm down there, Ethan.
Yeah, you're just calling Brady the GOAT, and he destroyed your team.
Yeah, I will because he destroyed our team.
Yeah,
man. All right.
But there was a lot of crazy free agent moves around the league, and there's still a lot of free agents left. So it's gonna be an exciting couple of weeks to see how everything plays out. Yeah.
All right, yeah, cool. I guess that's all we got today. Thank you guys for contributing to the conversation. Definitely a good one. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. This is Sports Chat signing out.
So long.
Peace.